Welcome to Pat's Cast, the unofficial Regina Pats podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
And this is our episode for November the 20th, 2021.
Hi, I'm Darren DuPont. You're listening to Pat's Cast, the unofficial Regina Pats podcast with Matt and Chris.
Well, Chris, we were talking last week if, one game this week, do we really need to do an episode? Well, sir, here we are. It actually turned out to be quite a busy week in Pat's news. We'll kick it off, of course, with the big news of the week, which is the change in coaching. This is something I think a lot of the Twitterverse is rejoiced in. I personally, and I think you're the same way. You got to know Dave Struch a little bit with your former roles and through now Pat's Cast, just talking to him and getting to know him as a person. So we're not going to sit here and celebrate anyone. There's what we've talked a lot about on this podcast is that there's people behind these names and there's humans. And so, we're not going to sit here and celebrate anyone losing their job. Anyone that got to see this news break on CTV in particular, I saw it. John Paddock described this as a very hard day. I think him and Dave have had a relationship for quite a while and probably considered each other at least close colleagues, if not friends. And it sounded like it was a very challenging thing for John to have to do. And so we're not going to sit here and celebrate this. Is it the thing that needed to be done? I mean, that's what we can talk about in terms of hockey. But I messaged you, and it was. How did you feel that when you saw that news break?
Yeah, I was a little surprised. And I want to go back. Struch. Once you start dealing with these people in person, and meeting them and talking to them on a almost game-to-game basis, you do kind of form a bit of a relationship, and it's tough. I mean, he was very gracious with his time and my terrible questions when I first started doing the Dub Network gig, and he was awesome, right? And so it is tough, and it is what it is, but it's hockey, and when stuff is not going right, changes are not unexpected. I was still a little surprised. I thought, with the injuries and stuff like that, it was like, oh, okay, maybe they'll ride it out. But I don't know. Maybe and obviously there's pressure with Bedard here. It's the upper management wants to see some success, and obviously the fans want to see success. Yeah. So it's tough. And so, and I mean, coaches get hired to fired. Like, that's a famous line.
It really is. But I think you may have hit the nail on the head here, and this is what I feel, is they built up Connor Bedard and this season so much in the media and just the organization, right? Like, you see him all over billboards, and every radio commercial has him mentioned in it, and he hasn't necessarily been the draw so far. I mean, people are buying tickets to see him light the lamp and score hatties and all this and sellies and all this crap that they're trying to sell, and it hasn't happened. And I don't think it's Connor's fault. I don't think it's Dave's fault. If I feel anything, it's kind of the pressure that was built up, and they needed to do it, and they needed something to do, and this is what they felt was the right move. We talked about it before.
I think expectations maybe have exceeded, reality, right?
Yeah.
I think,
very much so.
Like, we've talked about the roster, how, it's not the most skilled roster, and we need guys to have career years to really, really get this team going, right?
100%. We talked about it when these hashtags started showing up. It's not a team that's gonna put up 6, 7, 8 goals a night. We're not Winnipeg. We don't have the depth. We don't have the raw skill that is gonna be that team. So I don't know. It's
Yeah. So I mean, maybe it's just more of not to light light the fire, but I mean that will happen, and maybe the players will realize, okay, we really gotta get on here because the coach is gone, and that's partly on, not all on them per se, but partly on them. So they gotta step it up and bring their all in the next the rest of the season here.
Totally. Rob Vanstone had some good coverage on this, and I do want to just steal a bit of a quote that he had. And this is John Paddock saying, "There's really no bad coaches who are fired because bad coaches aren't hired. There just comes a time when someone feels that they need to do something, and in that case, it was me." So that was John Paddock speaking to Rob Vanstone in his Leader Post article. So if you can, it's on the internet. It's not behind a paywall. So if you're interested in seeing that, I don't know if we retweeted that, but we should if we haven't.
Yeah, I think I did.
It's a good write-up about Dave, and So
and then there was another kind of quote I heard tonight on the pregame. If anybody didn't catch it, it was Kelly Rempel, and obviously he's been around this league for a long time. And he said, I'm paraphrasing, but I don't have it was on the radio, so I don't have the exact quote, but he said, somebody asked him today if Dave was a really good WHL coach. And he's like, I honestly cannot answer that because I don't know. He hasn't had time to have a good team under him. Like, it's always, he's been head coach twice, and both of them coming out of a Memorial Cup runs with depleted rosters. If they would have given him a run here in the next couple of years after the team built up, maybe if the team didn't have Bedard and it was just a normal rebuild, it's a different story, right?
I think so.
But so I guess we'll see what happens here with Paddock behind the bench now. Does he turn things around and say, and then then you'll tell, right? By the end of the season, we'll tell if is it the team or is it the coaching.
And then the last kind of comment: were you surprised it was John that came back?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah.
We were talking about who would be the next one in line. We obviously thought about him, but man, he's getting up there. He's in his late 60s. And then even more surprisingly, in that article, they said this year and next year. And we think it's probably for some continuity with Bedard. But man, I don't know. And they say that now. I would almost see someone else stepping up or being placed in that role for next year. But who knows? It could be John again.
Right, and I think his contract is up at the end of this year, along with Haroff's, and Struch was at the end of this year. Yeah. And then Schneider, I don't know what his contract status is. I didn't looked into it if they announced his actual contract length when they signed him.
I picture John getting on and off the bus after this road trip, just I'm getting too old for this shit. I can just see that happening. Like, oh my God, what did I sign up again for?
And I think I mentioned it before. He was kind of on the way out the last couple of years, even too. I think he was more focused on the GM side, and Dave was more focused on the head coaching. Doing the road trips and doing that stuff.
Exactly.
I know. So
early mornings, bus rides, hotels. Ugh.
Rolling in at 4 a.m.
Oh God, late
PA or whatever.
Yeah.
Winnipeg.
Well, good luck to him, and honestly, good luck to Dave Struch. I'm sure he'll land on his feet here somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on from that to tonight's game. So the first game with John Paddock behind the bench. Pats came out quick. Hey, came out real sharp in the first few minutes.
I missed the first goal.
Did you? Yeah, it was a quick one.
I tuned in, it was 18 and a half minutes, and I was like, oh, it's already 1-0.
Yeah. And
here, I just assumed the Bedard line scored, but no, he didn't. So.
Right. So quick goal. It was overall, it was a pretty good game. Again, just kind of that close 1-goal, 2-goal game with the Warriors that we've seen this year. Again, we came out strong. Moose Jaw pushed back hard, and for quite a while too. I mean, we looked pretty good in the first. They dominated the second, got 2 goals out of it, and if it wasn't for Matthew Keeper, I think it would have been even more.
That save on the 2-on-1,
Yeah,
unreal. And both the goals he gave up, like he gave up one just before that on a 2-on-1.
yeah,
He had no chance on, and then Jaeger, just what a shot.
yeah.
Picked the corner.
Yeah, I mean, they were still calling out the goal scorers, and they came back down and almost scored again. So good for him for rebounding off that goal and being able to make that huge save, because I think that was the difference in the game. That one goes in, and then, I think it would have been a very different game. Yeah, I mean, Bedard, he got that assist with the Vallis goal. It was a nice little move.
He made that D-man look silly.
Yeah. And got the shot off, and then Vallis was there to get the rebound.
Yeah, good play by Vallis to drive past the D-man and just grab the rebound. Like, it was just right there for the taking.
Yeah, totally.
So good play on him.
Kind of the interesting thing was, if you watch that goal again, there's a defenseman that absolutely hones in on Bedard, and again turned his back to the entire play and was looking at Bedard and following him. And that could have been... It could have been him that would have been in the right spot to prevent that goal, but that's how teams are playing, Connor. And if they can take advantage of that, and if he can start to draw those people away from opportunities, his back, like, he didn't even know the goal was scored. Like, you can watch it again, and he's just like, oh, we got scored on. I wasn't even paying attention to the play. I was watching with that player.
My guy didn't score, so that's not my fault.
I did my job.
Yeah. Except that one D-man is laying on his ass after Leyland trying to... Because I think they caught him on a line change there. I think this is what happened. And then he was skating across, and Bedard just went whoop around you, and he's...
Yeah. And
yard sale.
It was another game. He had his opportunities, had some good shots, some good looks. I mean, there was one shift he had 2 good scoring opportunities within a few seconds of each other. So
there's one big pad save, kind of cross ice.
Yeah. They're there. They're just...
he's just not
just
can't bury him
in the spot. Yeah. It'll come, though. It'll come. One line that I was really... I think Cole Carrier... So I did put up... Because we only had one game. I put up player of the game, or player of the week, sorry. And I just put Matthew Keeper as both choices. But, I was just because he played so well. But, I mean, an argument can be made for Carrier had a really nice game. They were talking, because we only could listen to the Moose Jaw feed. Unfortunately, the WHL Live, I don't know, the wave feeds aren't working. So we were just saying we haven't really got to hear many of Dante's calls when we watch away games.
Yeah, I know. So I actually listened to the post game, and he picked Carrier as like his hardest working Pat.
Yeah, but the Moose Jaw guys really recognized his speed. What I noticed was Whitehead, him and Englot, that line... They were grinding hard, and they were on the ice quite a bit for the last bit in that third period there, just killing time, getting puck possession. I don't know, it's a nice goal.
That's Englot's game, right? Like, he's just
totally
a monster out there, right?
Yeah, so it was kind of neat.
And Whitehead's not a real big guy, right? And I've been impressed with him lately.
I was going to mention him too. He's quietly been doing his job very well, I think. He's got some decent speed too, and I don't know. I kind of like that synergy that team, that line had. They Englot in there, kind of muscling on the boards, and then if you can spring Carrier on and let him use his speed, it's could be a good line. Actually, I was happy with it.
Yeah, like we've seen Carrier like in the preseason, he's scored those 3 shorthanded goals.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it just hasn't translated to the regular season here.
Not quite yet. But overall, it was a good kind of grindy game. Road win against the Warriors. It was always going to kind of be a tough one.
And I think, that first period may have been Moose Jaw coming out of Winnipeg Brandon last night, so they would have got in late. And it took them a while. They got their legs back in the second, and they were right back in the game. So got to credit them for putting up a fight.
And for a Moose Jaw game, fairly disciplined. Riker Evans kind of took a bonehead penalty again. I didn't really love that one.
It was like he just grabbed the guy and just like threw him down. He was just out muscled the guy almost. But I
Yeah.
mean, it was like he grabbed him and like threw him down. It wasn't like a hockey play, but he just like
Yeah. It's like,
just.
oh man,
I know it was a little
at
bit,
a bad
and then
time, right? The third period again. Like,
yeah,
God, man, he takes
I
some
I
inopportune
don't know.
penalties
Just
at bad times.
just give it a couple extra strides and body check him rather than
Yeah.
grabbing him, right?
Some other
But
positives. So Jacob Brook back, really good to see. Stringer back. So the Ford's getting healthy again, which is great.
man, Stringer had a nice block. I think he was without a
Oh
stick
yeah,
there in that.
he took one.
It might have been that penalty kill.
I think it might have. Yeah,
And
he
yeah,
ate one.
yeah, he did.
Yeah,
And then I mean, Howe, another
Yeah.
goal for Howe. Like,
Yeah.
what can we say?
What a nice shot.
Great one-time shot. Yeah.
yeah, it looked great.
So
Yeah, so I mean, got to be happy with the win, especially against Moose Jaw. Those are always the best ones. Yeah, we'll see. Now we're going into the big long road trip here. Not as crazy as other Agerbition road trips, but going off to Medicine Hat on Tuesday, quick turnaround to Lethbridge on Wednesday, and then Red Deer Saturday, Calgary Sunday. So, four in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 games in 6 days. Gonna be tough. Nice to see some of the guys getting back. Some depth. Can rotate people through, and hopefully nothing else happens. But you have some guys you can draw on if you do. But so new coaching, new road trip. Nice time for the team to bond. Bit of opportunity here. We didn't talk about it while we're talking about the coaching change, but this probably was an okay time to do it, right? Because you can't. If this goes bad, if this road trip went bad and you lose, say, like 4 or 5 or something like that, then I mean the season's that's a big hole.
yeah,
right.
Getting out of hand a bit, right?
Yeah. So if we can muster a few wins out of this road trip, that would be ideal.
And you kind of get away from the local media too. That's not always a bad thing on the road trip. You're not, they might have a practice on Monday or something before they head out, but there won't be too much,
Like they're not doing post-game interviews. They're not having to talk about it when it's really fresh.
The practice afternoon availabilities and stuff like that, so they can just get away, away from it and just work on, what John wants to do now.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on. Some general Pats news. How about Jake Lesishin getting his first NHL goal? That was kind of awesome. So that's with the Vegas Knights. And then kind of tying to that, Adam Brooks has been picked up by the Knights as well. So a bit of a connection there. Roster news. So we put waivers. We picked up a guy off waivers from the OHL, Alex Gecky, from Sarnia Sting. So he was waived. We put in
waiver claim, right? So
the claim went through. And that being said, he's not signed yet. So we haven't seen any official announcement of that. But we got a little tip here from Matt Rowe that so Alex has put the Pats and his number, which is number 20, on his IG, his Instagram. So, that's pretty official. That's like, relationship status on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly, right.
You start putting that on your Instagram.
It must be true, right?
Yeah, so there must be some conversations going on between the team and him. I did tweet out a little highlight clip that someone had put together. I don't know what level or who he was playing, but I mean, he had some nice snipes. So,
he was a high pick, right? He was a high pick in the import draft. So
I don't know. If we hear something, we'll certainly share that with you guys. But nothing official as of yet, unless you consider Instagram official. Better than nothing, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and then just kind of going around the league. Interesting enough, the Memorial Cup schedule was released. So playing in June this year. was looking at it. I guess what caught me off guard was it's June. Holy cow! But it's not that much later. Starts June 4th, runs to the 13th, and this is in St. John, New Brunswick, not St. John's, of course. Don't want to confuse the two. They also talked about ticket prices. So, what do you recall Regina's being? They were fairly expensive.
$700.
Okay, so they're ranging from $390 to $460 for the package.
Yeah, I saw that. It was pretty.
That's pretty reasonable.
Pretty
Hey,
affordable. Yeah, pretty reasonable. Yep.
Yeah. So, just a few weeks later than normal. Hopefully everything goes. We get to see this
Yeah,
year.
the only thing I caught, what I noticed was they starting it on a Saturday instead of a Friday night, and it ends on a Monday night instead of a Sunday kind of late afternoon, which is kind of odd. Most people, want to travel and do a weekend, the championship package, final championship weekend kind of package. But so that's kind of odd.
And wrap it up on the Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, well. So, of course, the host team, the St. John Sea Dogs, will be automatically in it. And how are they doing this year?
I see them at 9-8-0-3 for fourth in the Maritime Division.
Ooh, so they have a bit of work to do to be a legit contender. Last time we had this, Regina was kind of in that situation, and Kelowna too. When they were going to host when it got canceled, they were not exactly championship caliber teams. So it'd be interesting. Maybe keep an eye on what St. John does over in the queue there for the rest of the year. They got a bit of work to do. They're not even in a playoff spot. Oh no, everyone in the queue gets in. The playoffs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or one or two teams don't.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I'm just looking through the queue standings here. I'm not just familiarizing myself here, and it doesn't seem like there's a standout team.
There's no one ripping.
Charlottetown is 14-5. The Rempart are 13-7. Randa, who just won the Memorial Cup couple years ago, there are 10-6. And Sherbrooke is the other division leader at 14-4. So,
interesting. No
Winnipeg style.
Yeah.
Runaway team. So
interesting.
Or Everett even.
To keep an eye on them, then see what they do over the next couple of months to build up a team. Speaking of pricing and stuff like that, so I was watching the Winnipeg Swift Current game, and one of the things that Swift Current was advertising in-house was a package here. So they have it's 4 adult tickets, 4 hot dogs, and 4 beers for $100.
Okay, so $25 a piece.
That's not too bad.
Per person.
You get a beer, a hot dog, and a ticket.
Well, that'd be half of that would be a beer in Regina here, right? So
yeah, exactly. And a hot dog, that's $4 or $5. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yep.
When I lived in Swift Current, they used to do Toonie Tuesdays. Or Toonie, it must have been Toonie Tuesdays, yeah. And you could get in for Toonie, you get a beer for a Toonie, and you could get a hot dog for a Toonie. So you could go $10 in your pocket and have a pretty good night.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was that wasn't that long ago either. But so interesting to see that. Haven't seen any.
The only other thing I had was the rookie situation.
Yes.
Got amended.
It did.
So now it's 25 games qualifies you as a rookie. So that eliminates Savoy and Yeager and Benson and all those guys as second years. Now they are officially rookies again. And the asterisk to that is if you have not won Rookie of the Year. So that eliminates Bedard. So he was a second-year player.
So
playing 15 games.
Can we call it the Bedard rule then?
Sure, yeah.
Pretty much. They had to put that in there because of him. So, because he played less games than all of them. So then they had to make an extra little caveat saying, unless you've won it before, and then you can't win it again. Sorry.
Yeah, so I don't know what Savoy, so they're talking about the points leaders, and he's right up there for first in the league. And obviously he's leading the rookies as well.
Okay.
So, because he had the 22 games as a 15-year-old, the whatever rule, the Savoy rule there.
Yeah. I
And
forgot he
then-
didn't play last year. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and then he
thought
went
he
to the USHL last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
And then
Okay,
I was back this year.
okay.
So
He
yeah,
is a
he
good
is
player.
17, but still a rookie, I guess,
Yeah. All right.
since they amended it.
All right.
But yeah, other than that, I don't know. And Everett, they're still hot. I seen them. They squeaked out a win over Portland here last night or the night before.
They're
And,
undefeated. Well, they got a shootout loss. Yeah.
Shootout loss. Yeah,
Okay. 13-1.
So-
Winnipeg
yeah.
cruising.
But Winnipeg is
18-1.
still number one.
Yeah. Although they played,
I mean-
Swift played them pretty close.
Yeah, that's
3-2,
true.
I think, in the end.
And speaking of Swift, they just blanked Saskatoon tonight.
Yeah.
3-0.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking Saskatoon's on a bit of a slide. 4-6 in their last 10. So after the hot start, still quite a ways ahead of kind of this whole clumping at like 15 to 12 points. There's
8 teams
yeah,
there.
yeah. So every game matters right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
If it keeps playing out like this, it's going to be 1 or 2 games. It could be the difference between a number of positions.
Places. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you got Moose Jaw, Swift, Regina, Lethbridge, Brandon, Calgary, PA, and Medicine Hat, all with 15 to 12 points.
yeah, yeah. Every game matters. So
Yeah, especially against those teams. And then you're the Winnipeg, Edmonton, Red Deer, Saskatoon, the top 4 in the conference. And Saskatoon's 8 up on Moose Jaw, so
Yeah.
kind of a gap there, right?
well, let's see how this week goes. It's nice to start the road trip off with a win against Moose Jaw. Again, a couple of those teams we were talking about that were battling then for some of these positions will be playing. So these games all mean a lot. It means a lot for more than that too. Obviously, with the coaching change, first big road trip for this team. It's gonna be a big week. It could be pretty pivotal to this season, I think. Okay, right on. We will talk to you guys later.
And have a good night.
Good night. Patscast is a proud member of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. If you're interested in other homegrown podcasts with a wide variety of topics, check out saskpodcastnetwork.com.